Hello everyone, it's Red Gadget here and welcome to another video. So today we're looking at something interesting. Today we're actually doing stats on mirror matches. So for those who don't know, mirror match is basically when you sit across someone and both of you and your opponent play the same deck. And the statistics that I wanted to extract from this is about going first, right? Because you are playing the same deck. And I've also done other stats on going first, but it's usually like you play a specific deck, they're playing another deck, and then a lot of other variables get kind of dragged into this calculation. But if it's a mirror match, you are playing the same deck, of course, granted with some tech choices, but the majority of the cards, if not 90% of the cards, are the same. And as you're playing against your opponent, we can really see the impact of going first or going second, right? So some super OTK deck, for example, imagine like, I don't know, could be like a Black Wings or some like hero beat deck, kind of beat down decks. Maybe they have a, for example, higher chance to win if they went first, while some control decks, like let's say with Hamster Raiko Kaius, maybe they have a lower kind of a lower win rate if they go first in the mirror match, because the games are longer, right? This is just some intuition that I had, and I talked to some people, and then I said, okay, well, it's very simple to do, right? I took 1 million matches from Dueling Book, so that's kind of the sample size, and then I've kind of trimmed it down to just include mirror matches, so matches between the two decks that are the same, as well as I've done that for top 18 decks on Dueling Book, so all the decks that are in this tier list are actually the most played decks. So I think that's also very interesting to see, because it's kind of important to prepare, like, okay, for certain decks at events, and these are kind of the top 18 decks with the most play rate, let's say, on Dueling Book. And most good players, they play on other events, IRL, but they play on Dueling Book as well, so I think it's pretty indicative of the format. Yeah, secondly, there is no gigavice and forks, because there's just not much, that their play rate is very low, because they're just new decks. So I did not include them in this tier list. And with that being said, we can get into the tier list, and I'll explain how I rank them, and also I'll explain, like, for each deck what was the idea, I think, behind having a specific win rate. Now, of course, I might make some mistakes. I'm not really sure, but these are the numbers. And of course, as you know on this channel, I just show you the numbers and give you some of my intuition, but that intuition could indeed be wrong. Let's start with what are the tiers. So here we have not even close, too bad, you lost dice, pretty fair, right? This is like the middle ground, kind of. Going second is fine, and then like plenty of Yu-Gi-Oh! It just means like the games are long, and the mirror match is completely fine. Even if you go first, it's completely fine, right? So these would be like super kind of swingy. So these would be like, if you go first, you have a super high win rate, and these would be like, if you go first, you actually have a lower win rate on average than like majority of the decks going first, right? We know from other stats I've done that game one. By the way, this is all for game one. I've also done it for a match, but I think going first has a more direct impact on the game one, because post side things get complicated. So I think game one is what I show here. Indeed, that's what it was. But I think game one is more important, because it's just a direct impact from the RPS, right? And to be fair, in the match, these numbers don't really change. Also, this is majority of the ladder. I just excluded like really the bottom ladder, but the like middle to high ladder is included here. I've also done the same stats for high ladder as well. The numbers don't really change all that much. Like there might be a flip in like 1% up or down, but like two decks might switch places, but it's more or less the same. And I'm pretty sure that the numbers as they are actually true. Usually I'm not so confident in how things are, because I'm always like aware of some mistakes that could be like the biases in the stats or something. But I do think this time this is really correct, because across the board it has been shown more or less similar numbers if you check different brackets or different combinations of parameters I've tweaked with. The list was pretty much the same. Now, Yeah, so let's get into the decks. Let's consider this one first, right? So what do we have here? We have a Hero Frog. It is in this bottom bracket, and I think the reason for that, as we can see here, 58.95% win rate going first in the mirror, game one. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Game one going first in the mirror, and the reason for that I think is because it's kind of like a control-y deck with like the dupes and the frogs, and usually frog games, the more the game progresses, the higher chance they have winning. But in the mirror, it's just like a very like a control-y deck from both sides, right? It takes a few turns to set up, so going first doesn't really have that much influence. And keep in mind, as I said, 60% is kind of the baseline. So this is sub 60. So that means that in a sense it's very fair in the mirror, right? Like going first, you are actually minus from what is like the standard going first, which would be the 60 again. And yeah, to me that makes sense. Frog decks are usually not so not so like, I'll actually include a second frog deck here. Frog Monarchs, almost close to 60. It is slightly under 60, so 59.88, almost 60. But it has no problem going second in the mirror because, as I said, it's a frog deck. It's very swingy, you know. Some things could go its way, some things not, depending on how the opponent opens. But as we'll see some other decks, it's just like you have such an advantage going first, it's crazy. But yes, frog decks, both of them were like pretty fair under, let's say. And by the way, these brackets, since all of these are meta decks, these brackets are like super close, right? So it's a few percentage points difference, and even that's why like there was some oscillations when I did certain other brackets, like certain other elos. But all in all, more or less, it stayed the same. And yes, like we are, as you can see, we'll be going from around, like no deck is under like 55, I think. Which going first, we know 60%, so 55 is pretty is actually pretty good for the mirror. Now let's look at some other decks. So what about another deck that's fine going second? Hero Beat in the mirror. It is slightly, 88, 85. This is super close. Slightly under Frog Monarchs. It has no problem going second. I'm not sure why this is, but I guess if they go like Stratos, maybe you could summon Alias to like beat down over their Stratos and like get a plus that way. So you equalize this fact that they went first and went Stratos +1. Maybe it's because all the power plays come after, right? Like this deck has a hard time setting up its grave for the Miracle Fusion plays. I mean, this goes as well for Hero Frog. I think all the power cards come like turn maybe 3, 4, 5. So I think if we consider that, it does kind of make sense. Like there's not that many explosive plays turn 1 and 2, maybe even 3, right? It's usually just summon beater, set a few traps. And like if both players get to do that, I think that maybe is the reason why we have this. Now let's look at a deck that has above 60% win rate in the mirror going first. And above 60%, we do have a Machina Control at 61. I think this is going to be a repeating theme. And that being the fact that this is a Hamster Raikou Kaya's deck. And set monsters are super strong going first, and they are super weak going second. In general, right? Like you might get Kayast or something, but also like against frogs, for example, but also in the mirror, right? Like think about it. If they set their monster, if they do like a T set, you cannot set your hamster because it could be a Raikou to pop your hamster, and then you're very behind. Or it could be a hamster, in which way it's fine if you set your hamster, but if you set your Raikou, then you're kind of going minus. So I think it's Hamster Raikou Kaya's mirrors are super swingy. I think we'll see that in the rest of the video, but yeah, Machina Control. Also, maybe there's a fact that like with Gear Frame you can +1 on the first turn. Could be the case. Could be the case also if you're going first, you can resolve your Pot of Avarice faster. So you're like one turn kind of faster in terms of like milling. So if you resolve your Pot of Avarice faster, you get your power cards faster, and then maybe that's something to consider. But yes, Machina Control win rate in the mirror going first. Game 1, 61%. So yeah. Let's look at a different deck. A deck that's actually higher than Machina Control is X-Sabers by a 0.02. I mean, this is more or less the same. It's just some variance, I guess. But yes, I don't know how X-Sabers lists look like, to be fair. I am not really an X-Sabers guy. But I know they do also play like some types of like recruiters. So maybe like this positional kind of advantage going first could be important. I've seen some play like Raikos and Hamsters, right? So that could be also this engine that's really strong going first. I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, in the mirror, because like I think this mirror is like a high stakes mirror. No, it's like a super combo deck. So if you're faster to your cards, that means you're kind of winning. And also you can get this guy, what's his name, Airbellum. Like he could maybe like turn 3 rip faster, right? Because if you like have a monster, then they like have a set, then you go like cat something, rip 2, and it's GG's. Or you go like summon another thing, so now you have 2 monsters, they have 1. If they don't have an out the first swing, maybe the second one, the Airbellum hits for a hand rip. It is also a hand rip deck. They have this synchro guy that hand rips. So I think turn 3, when you had an extra card and you have a battle phase, maybe that's strong. You could also make the same argument for like turn 2 for going second. But I think that's much harder than turn 3, right? I don't know. Could be the case, but very swingy mirror. It's bad. It's not too bad, but above 60 by 1%. So there's that. Let's look at this deck, right? Boom, here. We have fairies with 55, right? So this is a pretty fair mirror. If both players play fairies. I do think it's just like a slow deck, right? It's just like a set recruiter pass. It's just like some like not so strong cards like going at each other, right? Crashing your recruiters. It takes a few turns to set up. The power cards are insane, right? You play like Christia, you play like Return. I think they play Return. You play like a bunch of power cards. But of course, it's very hard to set up, and I think that's reflected here because this first turn, like the fact you go first and the fact you like have an extra card to play with on the turn 0, doesn't really matter all that much. Maybe it's like a very skill intensive mirror as well, like because I think this is like not a sacky mirror is what I'm trying to say. I think it's more like you play a long game and then you try to like out advantage your opponent, and then at some point you drop your power cards. But the first turn doesn't matter all that much. 55%, 55.5. Yeah, that's just fairies. Now let's talk about. Let me see, what do I have here? Let's talk about this in the pretty fair category. So this is the category from 59.99 to like basically what, like 61, right? Not including. And yeah, so around 60%, that is just like baseline going first, right? So if you take all of these decks against each other, if you take a bunch of other decks against each other, and you do stats on who's going first, 60% game 1 and around 55% match, right? If you go first. So if your mirror match is 60%, that just means it's kind of standard, right? So that's why I said it's pretty fair. Diva Hero, I mean, it can be pretty explosive. It can be also sometimes slow. It's just the fact that like, okay, it's a very strong deck, but obviously with weaknesses, and in the mirror these weaknesses don't really show that much, right? I don't think they side in like oppressions and deck devs and such things like against each other. That would be kind of crazy. I don't know if the format has gone to that point, but I guess we'll see. And yeah, that's just Diva Hero. So I put Mali here because I think that's like kind of card that like identifies this deck. I put the Miracle here for Hero Frogs because I didn't want to put a frog or a hero because then you get what I'm saying. Let's look at another deck. So zombies. Keep in mind, right? Zombies are here, higher by 0.03, so it's basically the same. But keep in mind also, since I'm showing you these decks, these are the decks that are like most played on ladder, and this variant of the deck is the most played. So yeah, keep in mind that like Diva Zombies is like kind of the most played zombie variant. I'm not sure if it's the best one, but it's the one that like when you take like the number of decks, the number of kind of games people played in the decks within, and you like sort them by play rate, you will get Diva Zombies to be like the only zombie variant in this list. So that's just something to consider. But yes, 60%. So I'd say a pretty fair mirror. Not much to kind of talk about here more. Yeah, you get to set your like things first, so that's why it's strong. Obviously, you get to set your goblins, you get to set your recruiters, but I think it has much more explosive plays turn 1 or like turn 2 or 3 even than fairies have, right? It's still a set a recruiter deck to an extent. It's set a monster deck in the first few turns, but once you get your like plague access, you start to like instant fusion, whatever divas, you start to like kind of start doing unfair stuff, and maybe that's why like turn 3 you win. So the fact you went first kind of helped a lot. Could be the case, but still again pretty standard mirror. I would say pretty healthy. These below are kind of considered healthy. Below 60 and above 60 are kind of, I'd say, are kind of unhealthy. But another deck another mirror that I would say is pretty healthy is Amaryllis. So Amaryllis here we have 68.9%, and I honestly have no clue. I'm not an Amaryllis fan. I don't know why is that the case, but yeah, I mean, I would consider the mirror to be pretty kind of bad, but I mean not as bad as like Gigavice, for example, with all the equip stuff and Titanials, but they still play Mark of the Rose, they still play like some recruiters, they still, and to be fair, the power cards do come in after, right? The Amaryllis, you kind of have to like somehow mill it, or you have to do like trading, so you need a 2-card for that. It's kind of like a 2-card combo, and then once you get your Amaryllis, you start burning them, and who gets to burn who faster, so maybe that's why like it takes more turns, so maybe that's why like we have this like plenty of Yu-Gi-Oh left, right? Not sure. Maybe leave it in the comment section what you think about Amaryllis. Yeah. Just I mean, I'll be fair to say that these numbers are really like across many games. So there is like some, you could see it's like very close, but like across thousands and thousands of games, like the fact that you get like a statistic out, I do think it's pretty accurate. So even though if we say this is close, I do strongly believe this is indeed like more fair mirror than this. So I do think these numbers make sense, but I don't know why they are as they are. Another one here, Dragon Beat. So it's like with traps, like trap dragons and stuff, and with like wyverns and whatnot. Like I guess you mill a little bit as well. I don't know how this deck exactly works, but seems to be pretty fair. And I think there are a few power cards in this deck, but not that many, so maybe it's just like a very fair deck, right? I think they play like Exploder Dragon, or what's his name, or they play like, sorry about this, they play like Exploder Dragon and like some other cards that are kind of like, remind me more of like Goat format than like actually Edison, right? With like all the slam, but yeah. Dragon Beat's pretty cool deck. I played it a few times, but yeah. I think I would expect the mirror to be fair as well. It's not like something super crazy. But let's talk about like the first deck in not even close category, and that is 6 Sams. So 6 Sams, it just makes sense to me that they're not fair like in the mirror. Like, come on, do you really want to play a 6 Sam mirror where they go like their continuous spells, they draw 1, they set like their hand, they have like a beater on board, and like you try to heavy them, they will like road you. You try to like summon a guy, they will bottomless you. You try to like do whatever, they will just next turn summon Grandmaster, spam, 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 spam. Like end phase, they'll Dust Tornado, pop your thing. Like it just doesn't seem like a fair deck in the mirror. Like, and I think Six Sams is such like a go first deck, you know? They struggle so much going second because they have no way to like just play a bunch of traps. And trap decks are super strong going first. Like trap decks and set like T set decks are super super strong going first, but it's just like in the mirror Six Sams it's impossible. Like to me it's just I played against a few Six Sams and I didn't play a mirror, but I played like Blackwings and I played like gadgets and I played a bunch of decks against them, and it's just like it's just not fun when they go first. And they plus they play like I don't know if the mirror if that really works, but they play like this like banish everything cards, like also like Dimensional Fissure, and they play like Starlight Roads and stuff. Just floodgate your ass first turn. It's just not fun. So Six Sams mirror not really fun. Just win dice if you're gonna play a mirror with Six Sams, and it's gonna be easy. Um, let's talk about this deck, Dragon Turbo. Here, so let me arrange this correctly. Yeah, so Dragon Turbo, we have 57.98 go first. Game one, and to me, I'm not really sure. I'm not a Dragon Turbo expert, but the deck seems super swingy, super OTK. But I do think like if the other guy opens better, that just might not matter much, you know? Like if you need like an extra turn to get your combo going, but they have their combo turn one, you're dead because none of you is playing like any defense basically. So just whoever gets the combo first. And maybe that's the reason why like the combo is like fair in a sense, although I don't really think it's really fair, but fair in the sense of like win rate, because like one of you will win and it doesn't necessarily mean the first guy will win, right? Maybe that's the idea. Maybe that's the reasoning. I don't really know. That's just what the numbers say, and Dragon Turbo, yeah. To be fair, also Dragon Turbo, it's yeah, it's like a OTK deck, but like I don't think going first has much of an influence on it. Like maybe against other decks, but in the mirror it's just too swingy. I think that could be the case. But anyhow, Dragon Turbo's here. Um, let's talk about a deck in the second category. So too bad you lost dice. Sorry, bro, but it is Lightsworn. So Lightsworn, to me, this perfectly makes sense. I mean, go first Lightsworn in the mirror. It's super strong because you get to like send your mills first. You get to like establish your like monster, and if you establish your monster, that means you established your honest kind of what do you call it? Like an anchor for honest to drop honest on. You establish like a mill 2 or mill 3. You maybe even you summon the Lumina Gareth, drew 2. Maybe you mill a wolf for free turn 0. Like a lot of things could go your way turn 0 as a Lightsworn player. And I think in the mirror, it's like whoever gets their mills going first is basically winning, right? So maybe like if you go first, you get to drop your JD faster, like faster than them. You also get to establish, like, if you go, like, for example, imagine, like, Lila, Threatening Roar. Next turn, they try something, like, they summon Jane, try to swing over it. You go, like, Threatening Roar. Next turn, like, they set something, you go, like, or even if they don't, you go, like, Tribute for Celestia, mill 4 again for cost. So, you milled, like, 10 cards, basically, right? Your JD is live at that point, and I don't know, to me that just seems super strong, while they just have like maybe mill 2 basically on their turn 1, because you already have 2 turns now, and you can mill during your turn, you can mill during your end phase. So Lightsworn just going first seems pretty strong to me, game 1. But yeah, that's just Lightsworn's. And then another fair matchup, believe it or not, is just Blackwings. Uh, yeah, it's very interesting. Like as opposed to some other decks here, and we'll see also. Um, Blackwings just like okay, going first, you get to like summon your monster, but I think this is mostly equalized by the existence of Heavy Storm and people not being on Starlight Road, and the existence of Sirocco. Like you just like if they go like summon Shura, like if you go without a Whirlwind, summon Shura, set a monster, set a trap or two. They go Heavy Storm, Sirocco, set a few traps. You basically lost on the spot, right? And Sirocco is at 3 and Heavy's at 1. So like Heavy, even Heavy is fine. Like MST as well, right? You pop their back row, you go Sirocco swing. If they don't have a good comeback for that, like it's pretty rough. But yes, indeed, the Blackwing's very strong going first. I mean, 60% win rate still. It's fair, but yes, like you're going second, you're still losing. Let's consider that, right? Like it's not like it's 50-50. You're going second, you're still losing. Also with these two decks as well, but like you're not as losing as hard as with some of the decks on the top, right? Some of the decks on top, you can just like if you lose dice roll, you can kind of say you got sacked. Especially when we consider some of the decks in the top, like it's just kind of too much. But yeah, Blackwings. I mean, Sirocco is there to equalize. That's probably why like this number has been like dropped down. Heavy MST, also a lot of removal, right? Like you could maybe set your like Deep Prison, try to play a slow game. I've won a lot of Blackwing mirrors going second. It's not that it's impossible, you know. Like it's very possible. It's just depends on how good they open and how many like comeback cards you open. Like if you open your Icaruses, if you open your Heavies, if you open your Siroccos, okay, you can play, right? If you don't, I'm sorry. But yes, so far this is what we have here. Let me look at some other decks. Uh, let me talk about this one maybe Vayu or Vayu or GBs. Let's talk about GBs. GBs go first deck. Uh, wait, how does this work? Yeah, 63.13, not even close. GB, I'll tell you something right now. I've done a lot of stats. Okay, I have been doing stats for a year for you guys. Like I have looked at a lot of numbers on Edison Format, and although I dislike Gladiator Beast as a deck, in general, like I'm not a fan. The playstyle and everything just makes me not feel good. Um, it is crazy deck going first in general across the board, and it's so mid, borderline ass going second. Like whenever I do stats going first, going second, GBs going first, just top at the top of their thing, and going second at like a bottom deck, like bordering with like I don't know Dragon Beat and like fairies, you know, like it's just not even close. So of course it makes sense that the mirror is just super sacky go first, because like think about it, GBs do nothing going second, and they do everything a deck you would like everything you would want a deck to do going first. Summon GB, set 4, they have Chariot, one of the most insane cards in the format. They get to like tag one turn early. They have a Boku to like protect. They have a bunch of random traps. They have everything. Like if you ever test it for traps against GBs, you find everything down there. They have like Starlight Roads. They have Judgments. They have like I don't know, just have everything. And then like turn 2, they can go like test Tiger stuff, trap stun your ass. Like if they get their trap stuns down, they get their roads down, they get their judgments down, they get their chariots down, they get their Book of Moons down, Waboku's down. It's so hard to play through them. If you summon a beater and like set an MST or whatever, or like just play regular Yu-Gi-Oh going first, they struggle so much. And I was also kind of maybe I'll tell this to you after, but I wanted to see like by each deck, based on like the topping, like people that topped with certain decks, how many dice rolls they won. And I do suspect that like a lot of GB players like win a lot of their dice rolls, because if you win a lot of your dice rolls as a GB player, it's like so I wouldn't say easy, of course, obviously, but it's so good to like you can play so well through everything. Like no deck is a problem if you're going first with GBs. That's just a case from the data. It's not my opinion, right? I didn't play GBs I think even once in my life. I played against them and I know how it feels going first and I know how it feels going second. And in the mirror, I'm pretty sure it feels even more oppressive. Um, but yes, next deck. Let's talk about this one. Vayu Turbo. Vayu Turbo, one of the sackiest mirrors there are. Uh, it's actually this way, right? One of the sackiest mirrors there are. Hamster Echo Kaya's engine. If you get to set up your like Necro Gardenas and like your graveyard thing, like it's so hard to come back because think about it, like they go like Greffer, pitch Vayu, send Sirocco, set a back row. What do you do there? Nothing. Like you summon your Greffer, like if you have the same play, you summon going second, you summon your Greffer, pitch your Vayu, pitch your Sirocco. What do you summon your Sirocco now? Try to swing over the Greffer, get like Deep Prison or Bottomless, and then get like clapbacked? Do you try to crash your Greffers? But then what? Do you still summon it like main 2? That sounds bad. And still get trapped? Like the traps are the problem. Hamster Raiko Kaias is a problem. It's just a very sacky like go first engine. So in the mirror, obviously, it's very strong. But yeah, I think it's one of the best kind of go first decks. Like in general, it's one of the best decks. And I've done some other stats, like what I was referring to also with GBs, and it is also one of the best kind of go first decks across the board. So it's like one of the best go first decks, and it's one of the best kind of decks, right? So if you're like a Vayu player and you're winning your dice, it's such a good day for you. Like Vayu dice winnings is just amazing because you get to do your milling first, you get to do your like send your threats to grave, you get to set your traps first, and then you get to like have a power play every turn, kind of turn faster than your opponent, right? Because think about it, in the play I mentioned, you go like Greffer, send Vayu, Sirocco, uh, set trap pass. They're kind of stuck there because they don't want to commit into your trap if they don't have an out. And then, like for example, even next turn you go like banish, summon. Now your burial's live. You can summon another one. If you're like you contribute your guy for Caius, then now you have 3 engraves. So you can drop your dad there. You can like the returns live. Like everything's live once you did your first turn play with Greffer. And if you didn't, set hamster is super strong because it puts them in a weird spot like we discussed before. So Vayu Turbo, one of the best go first decks. One of the best decks in the mirror. I was gonna say obviously it's one of the best decks in the mirror, but it's one of the sackiest mirrors in terms of going first, for sure. Here, like a 62, you get like almost 3% extra, right? 3% extra win rate just by winning dice, on top of like the regular 60, right? We're not even talking about like on top of the 50% that like in theory it should be. So if we consider from 50, you're getting an extra 13% win rate just by going first. And then finally we have this deck on top of this category. So sub 52, 61.5 gadgets. Makes sense, right? You get your +1 first. Your gadgets, when they die, like, because you need to wait for them to die. So when they die, you can activate your Solidarity turn 3, which is faster than your opponent because their guy is gonna die turn 3, so they can activate Solidarity turn 4. You get to get your gear frame searches. Usually, like a lot of gadgets cannot get over a gear frame turn 1 or turn 0 for them. It's just kind of impossible if they don't have like Cyber Dragon main deck or something. So that does indeed make a lot of sense for me, and a lot of traps as well, right? Like you get to set your traps first, kind of like GBs. Yeah, you set your like compulses, like you go gear frame, la la la. They try to out it, compulse, summon again. It gets tricky. It gets tricky very fast if you're going second in the mirror there, because you're always one turn behind, and you're always like, well, how much? You're always 2 cards behind, right? Because they draw for turn and they +1 with the gadget. So every turn they have 2 cards more on you, which is 2 cards more to kind of break your board, right? Because, okay, they draw 1, it could be like Heavy Storm or something, but they also have an extra gadget. They can pitch for Fortress, swing for more damage, you know. A lot of stuff can happen in the Machina gadget mirror, but yes, one of the sackiest mirrors out there. So 62, you're getting a, well, not 62, 61.5. So you get like 1.5% on top of the 60% just by winning dice. Game 1 in the mirror of Machina gadgets. Finally, the last deck, the sackiest deck, naturally, Lightsworn Fairy or Christia Sworn. I just look at this number right here. 64.59, so 6. So I don't care. I'll round it up to 65, just for the sake of argument. Like, 65% to go when you're going first win rate. That is essentially 2-to-1 odds in your favor for game 1. So you have, like, if you think about it, like, okay, 65. If you say 66, right? You have 66% and they have 33% chance of winning. And you're playing this exact same deck. You just went first. That is just simply crazy. Like 60, 64, 65% is an extra 14, 15% of win rate in this mirror just because you won the dice. I just think that's crazy. I just think that's absolutely crazy. Like, and this makes perfect sense. Like, as we said, you see, Lightsworns are here, right? Like, pure Lightsworns are here. Now imagine you add the fact that, like, you have played like a higher density of boss monsters. You play Herald, like, you go summon Lightsworn, mill 3, maybe you mill a fairy, they go whatever, they go like summon their Lila or whatever, end phase mill, maybe you just want to Herald that, get that out of the way. They have 0 mills so far. You have 3 fairies already, let's say 2 or 3 fairies. You milled a few cards, next turn you'll mill more. Recharge Boom Boom, drop Christia, they have nothing, and they cannot out that. Like in the mirror, you cannot out, and then like Christia gets you add back Honest, gets you add back another Herald. They try to do whatever, you just Herald that because the deck's full of monsters. It's just like a Herald Sackfest going first, and you get to like get your mills first, which we talked about how important it is in Lightsworn, and it just simply makes sense. Like you play this mirror, you're just so far behind if you're going second. Because it's kind of like a setup deck, right? Like the whole thing is about setup, and the whole thing is about like Herald interruptions and making sure you're on 4. And the faster you can do that, the game just so snowballs into your favor. But yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty obvious for everyone why this would be kind of the most sackiest mirror. Like Christia is just a floodgate, like you cannot out. It's pretty, I think that's pretty straightforward. And yeah, so this is the final tier list in terms of win rates in the mirror going first. And yeah, these are the 18 decks that are played the most besides Gigavice and Forks. I did not include those. So they are the most played decks on ladder. And when I do further statistics, I'll just stick with these decks. Let me know in the comment section if you want to do other ones as well. But I don't really think I want to do that because there's not that much data on them. I mean, I have a lot of data for a lot of decks, but what I'm saying is like when you try slimming down, like for example mirrors, right? Like it's very hard to find like monster mash mirrors. Like it's just not something that happens a lot. But these are the very, very popular decks, so the mirrors happen often, so we still have thousands and thousands of matches to look at. But yeah, with that being said, let me know in the comment section, like, what are your thoughts on this? I'm very like happy to kind of like push this out there. I'm very satisfied with the results. I think they are super accurate. And yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that this is kind of the way mirrors are. And from my personal experience, this simply is the case. From my like how I see the game. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have something you want to share regarding this tier list. And please like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.